Brazilian Agricultural Research Corporation, Embrapa, with a movement called or entitled Rice and Beans, the Brazilian Food. The objective of this initiative is to show consumers that eating rice and beans regularly can improve their health and life quality. Therefore, we are motivating producers to implement sustainable cropping systems and in the whole value chain to contribute the whole economy via the whole chain. So regarding the methodology, we define a methodology with representative economic agents of the value chains of rice and beans. Those agents are participating in a sectoral chamber at the Ministry of Agriculture, so where all the value chain meets. We consider the principle of collective action. Therefore, it's important to involve all stakeholders. So the methodology was defined in 3 steps. First, a diagnostic of the situation of the consumers. How do they perceive? How do they consume the products? In the second step, we evaluated the data. In the third step, we disseminate the findings of these diagnostics. Now it seems to be a problem again with the video.
Yes.
Well, regarding the results we obtained so far from the first and second step, the first results gave us some insights to some issues in misperceptions that are interfering in the reduction of per capita consumption of rice and beans in Brazil. On the other hand, we found signs that families consider rice and beans as important staple food. So if people are well informed, the culture and typical Brazilian food will be preserved. So time is over. Sorry, thank you.
I think there seems to be a problem with the software.
The video was stopped before it was reached the end.
Yes.
The end.
So would you like to have some concluding remarks?
Well, what we conclude so far from what we have learned so far is that this movement that was started, the movement called Rice and Beans, the Brazilian food, it has been successful so far. The main challenge now is how to obtain more information.
Hello and welcome to this
for more regions to systematize this information and to motivate institutions and economic agents to disseminate it at the national level. So to promote the consumption of healthy food habits like consuming rice and beans. This is the main challenge we face now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So do you have any questions? So I was wondering, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about those misconceptions that you mentioned.
Some people sometimes, this includes professionals from health, like some medical doctors. If someone go to a doctor and has some overweight, for instance, then the first recommendation coming from the doctors is, well, you have to reduce your rice consumptions. You have to eat less rice and so on. And of course, this is not really true, since there are many results showing that the problem of overweight does not come from rice, but from other habits and from too little, let's say, physical activity and so on. It's not an issue related to eat rice and many other fast food consumption habits. People eat more and more fast food. And this is a real problem in increasing the percentage of the population having overweight. So misperceptions is related to the, let's say, wrong information being used to recommend people what they have to do and what they should not do. So research has a challenge together with the stakeholders from the value chain to better inform those professionals to give, let's say, better advice.
Yeah.
That's the main challenge we face.
And that coming from the doctors.
Well, the doctors, many of them, they graduated 20, 30, 40 years ago. And the only information many of them get comes from sometimes the media, sometimes from sales representatives from labs, pharma labs, and so on. So they are not really reading, they do not really read all the papers that are being published in nutrition, for instance, journals and so. So they need to be better informed. It is a real challenge for healthy food value chains.
Okay, thank you very much, and also thank you for being so spontaneous.
Thank you.
Then let's move on to the next presentation. So it's Ms. Blaschke examining the emancipatory potential of the counter-discourse of La Via Campesina by conducting a Foucauldian discourse analysis.
Hello and welcome to this short presentation of the poster examining the emancipatory potential of the counter-discourse of La Via Campesina.
Okay, it seems like there's also no sound.
My name is Nicola Blaschke. I'm from University of Hohenheim. The starting point for this research is the idea that global crises, such as food insecurity, can best be resolved by including the ideas and solutions of people involved in the agro-food systems, for example, farmers' organizations. The two biggest ones worldwide that we're looking at here are La Via Campesina and the World Farmers Organization. They have very different ideas about what emancipation looks like, which shall be researched in this paper. We are doing this by looking at their publications and after that conducting a Foucauldian discourse analysis using Foucault's concepts of knowledge and power. So let's have a look at the theoretical framework. We mostly focus on Foucault's notions of knowledge and power, and for him knowledge is always socially constructed, whereas power is discursive rather than coercive. They are related in the sense that there's no power relation without a correlated constitution of a field of knowledge, nor any knowledge that does not presuppose and constitute at the same time power relations. How is this related to emancipation? Since Foucault does not believe that there is anything outside a knowledge-power relation, this relation should be designed in a way that contains as little domination as possible. When looking at both organizations, it becomes very quickly very obvious that they have very different worldviews. Whereas La Via Campesina identifies neoliberalism as the source of all evil, which should be replaced with a system following the principles of food sovereignty, which grants the peasant a special role in producing food for the community, the World Farmers Organization has very different perspectives. For them, the lack of recognition for farmers is one of the main problems, which can be solved by pushing towards more international standardization of farming, which also grants the farmer a special role because he's supposed to act upon the incentives of the market and to provide innovations to improve the situation. Organizations have an interesting knowledge-power nexus. Whereas La Via Campesina produces knowledge about the peasant, which also executes power over them because they are discursively utilized or digested. This forecloses other ways of perceiving of the struggle. The World Farmers Organization, on the other hand, subjugates their farmers with a very strong normalizing power by telling them to do the right thing, which also excludes other ways of perceiving of the situation, which mainly leaves out existing power imbalances and results in a depoliticized discourse. To conclude, we could say that Foucault's concepts have helped to better understand how the discourses emerged, as well as to identify some of their shortcomings. One of those shortcomings might be that both organizations claimed to be emancipatory was constrained, because in the case of the World Farmers Organization, the discourse was very managerial, whereas for the case of La Via Campesina, it was very romantic. So what is actually needed instead is a political approach, which can actually bring about emancipation for agricultural producers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Do we have any questions? Maybe then you could give us, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your own opinion about those two movements and their potential or their relevance.
Yes, thank you very much. So it's in the recent years, the farmers' organizations and civil society in general has gained more influence in the international policy-making arena. Before, they were mostly represented by NGOs or governments, but this is changing towards people representing themselves. And what my research is interested in is what are the benefits and also the problems of this change away from previous power relations, let's call it like that. So it's very interesting when farmers represent themselves and to what degree this leads to emancipation. And I mean, one point that could be criticized is that, for example, La Via Campesina, with their very strong notion of a different world that they want to bring forward, they represent themselves directly, so they basically avoid being represented through governments, which also poses questions towards representation. Like, is it okay to avoid like democratic rules and to just represent yourself immediately? I mean, it's good and bad, and I'm just interested in those frictions and in the benefits that can occur from this. And I saw a message in the chat from Alcido. It's how do I see the future challenges of both movements? So for the World Farmers Organization, it's very interesting how they are changing their discourse to being more inclusive of topics like climate change and environmental problems and food security. But it happens, from my perspective, in a way that doesn't really change their core values, which are very much focused on production, obviously. I mean, they want to produce, they want to make money, basically, and to sustain their livelihoods. So it's interesting how they incorporate some green ideas, some social ideas, without really changing their core values, while La Via Campesina is basically going the other way around by being more established in the international organizations. Like they pushed forward a declaration on the rights of peasants in the United Nations. So they are becoming more institutionalized and more professional, and which also changes the discourse, obviously, because they get a more prominent position. And then they they don't have this bonus anymore of being outside the system and complaining about the system itself because they become part of it. So both organizations are going through some changes, which might be very interesting to observe in the future.
Okay, so there's one more question, but so it's in the WOWA chat, but because we don't have so much time, I would just ask you to have a look at it later, and then maybe you can just answer in the app. Okay, thank you very much. Then we move on to our third presentation, Food and Nutritional Security in Brazil, Socio-Political Scenario from 2015 to COVID-19.
Hello everyone, I'm Rayane Cavalcante, and this is my research in collaboration with my professors about food and nutritional security in Brazil, social and political scenario from 2015 to COVID-19. My goal is to analyze this period and the measures to reduce impact with COVID-19. First, from 2015 to 2017, Brazil had an economic and political crisis, and to reduce spending, the Amendment 95/2006 frozen the spending budget for 20 years. As you can see in Table 1, there is a reduction in income, an increase in employment, budget cuts, and the National Food and Nutrition Security Council extincted in 2019 resulted in weakening the food and nutritional security policy. Then, with COVID-19, the situation was aggravated. So, what are the measures to reduce the pandemic impacts? First, economic impact payment. Informal works, people who have small business over 18, and single mothers under 18 with the monthly income up to 1 minimum wage or total family income up to 3 minimum wages can access this program. People apply on the internet, but in 2018, about 25% of the population was no internet access, so a lot of people won't be aided. This program will continue until the end of the year, with reduction and only for people already registered. Number 2, school feeding program. The government authorized distribution of food during this period. However, in some regions, it was being reported the food is not portions from family agriculture, or the food kit is not enough or not well received. Number 3, local food distribution programs. People restaurants with affordable price between 1 and 4 euros. And community kitchens making meals available no cost. Number 4, donations from the government and civil society. To conclude, as you can see, the extension of the National Food and Nutrition Security Council encourages the circulation of the National Food and Nutrition Security System, failure to prepare the National Food Security Plan, budget cuts for important programs. Government measures have mitigated some of the pandemic impacts, but the National Food and Nutrition Security should be strengthened. According to FAO, Brazil can return to hunger map. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm looking for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?
Sorry, could you explain again very briefly what was the reason for the council to be abolished? Was it the fact that food security is already achieved, but isn't it a very superficial reason? Because of course you have to see the long term. Is that how you see it?
Yeah. Wait a minute. The Food and Nutrition Security Council responsible for integrate the government, federation, state and municipal, and civil society. So it's very important to promote this communication, and also is responsible for formulation, organization, and analysis these public policies. But on the first day, President Bolsonaro, the council was abolished. It's because I think this shower for us, this food and nutrition security in Brazil, in this government is not a priority. And I don't have an answer for this question, so not good answer for the why the council was extinct, but in Brazil it is.
Okay, thank you very much. I would also like to point out that a comment, Brazil had a political change in 2019 in that regard. Maybe just another quick question in the chat. Thank you for your good presentation. The challenge we have with these initiatives to alleviate food insecurity is lack of sustainability. Could you comment on that? The challenge we have with these initiatives to alleviate food insecurity is lack of sustainability.
Can you repeat, please?
Okay, so they're asking for you to comment on the challenge we have with these initiatives is to alleviate food insecurity is the lack of sustainability. But if you like, you can maybe just think about it and comment later in the chat if that's also fine, also in terms of time.
I don't have this answer now so complete because I need to analyze more dates about this center and actually, so I don't have an answer now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Then we move on to the fourth presentation. So this would be willingness to accept lockdown and COVID-19 pandemic and effect on livelihood in Southwest Nigeria.
Morning. My name is Tropentag. I work with NISA in Nigeria. I'm making a presentation on willingness to accept lockdown in COVID-19 pandemic and the effects on livelihood in Southwest Nigeria. COVID-19 became widespread early in the year, and the index case was discovered on the 27th of February. By March the 30th, a lockdown was instituted in the country. It was complete in some places and partial in other places. However, overall, businesses closed down, employment were lost, income was lost. And so the big question is this: would a household, would an individual be willing to go outside and face the COVID-19 infection, the probability of being infected, rather than staying hungry? Or would they stay hungry in order to prevent an infection? This was a retrospective online survey carried out between April and May 2020. And out of the questionnaires sent out on the online survey, 75 lower to medium income individuals responded. So it was limited in scope. The willingness to accept estimation was done through the contingent valuation method, and a binary probit discrete choice model was used to estimate the factors that determine willingness to be. Looking at the results, 61% of the respondents were willing to accept a lockdown. However, if we go through livelihood features, such as sector of employment, type of income, risk of losing income, we found significant differences. And so looking at the sector, individuals in private informal sector were less likely to accept a lockdown. In fact, only 10% of them were willing to accept a lockdown. And looking at business proceeds, only 13% of those whose daily income, whose income was from business proceeds, were willing to accept a lockdown. Again, for those who were willing or able to work from home, only 13% of those who responded as maybe were willing to accept a lockdown. Looking at the risk of losing an income, those who were likely to lose an income, only 13% of them responded, while only 26% of those who were very likely to lose an income responded to being willing to pay. The regression model is presented in this graph, and we saw that older households or older individuals, those with large household size, and those with large food expenditure were less likely to accept a lockdown in the case of this pandemic, while those who were married were more willing to accept a lockdown. The value of willingness to accept estimation showed that the maximum number of days the individuals were willing to lose was 4 days, at a daily income loss of $8,500 per day, which was about $22. And so other measures, other accepted measures were use of face masks, social distances, and washing of hands. This study showed that vulnerable livelihood reduces the probability of being willing to accept a lockdown. And so lockdowns, interventions should be country specific, so that the type of economy will determine the type of intervention. And so if other measures were going to be accepted, then they could have helped to prevent losses of income that was rampant and the poverty that really increased during this pandemic. In the next level, the national representative survey could be looked at for a wider scope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. any questions here.
Thank you for this presentation. I have a quick question. Do you know any country that has done better? A country with a big informal sector, which has implemented alternative ways instead of lockdowns. Is there any good examples that you know of?
No, not that I know of. But the issue here is that with the lockdowns, there was a lot of poverty. The informal sector in Nigeria is really large, and so even with this survey, which was for lower to middle income, getting a maximum of 4 days that a person could stay off work was good, because if I was able to interview the lower income individuals, the farmers, the butchers, the taxi drivers, they probably wouldn't even be willing to stay at home. In my state, despite the lockdown, a lot of people couldn't stay at home. They had to go out every day to get a daily income. And so that's why the idea of other measures is being suggested.
Okay, thank you very much. Then let's move on to the next presentation. However, the technical assistant has informed me that there seems to be a problem with the video. So I was wondering if you could maybe just share your screen yourself and have the video play for us via screen sharing. Would that be an option?
Okay, that's okay. I can do that.
So it's the video of Amusan, Mr. Amusan. Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Would it be possible?
Yeah, I've already sent the video
Yeah,
to the organizer.
yes, it doesn't seem to play, so the technical assistant has informed me. So would it be possible to just play it on your screen and share the screen with us?
I don't have I'm not able to do that now, but I can give the oral presentation.
Okay, that would be great. Maybe if you could just make it really quick and give us the main points, that would be great.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy for the opportunity. The topic of my presentation is evaluating the relationship between solid food waste, environment, and economic security among malnutrition in Nigeria. So if you look at it, solid food waste is estimated to be 126.2 million tons and 239.8 million tons of carbon dioxide, equaling at the end of this year. And this huge solid waste costs Nigeria quite a lot. And while millions of Nigeria are still hungry and poor, Nigeria also ranks very low in nutrition, and with highest number of malnourished children under 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. 37% of Nigerian children are stunted, 18% are wasting, 20% underweight. This stunning figure ranks Nigeria as the second highest globally, while developed countries have been able to manage waste properly for increased environment and economic security. This is far-fetched in Nigeria, since food waste can cause health, environment, and socio-economic problems. There is need to investigate the relationship between solid food waste, environment, and economic security. So the main objective of this is to look at the relationship between solid food waste, environment, and economic security among malnutrition in Nigeria. So mixed methods were used in this to analyze data on waste management practices were obtained through structured questionnaire randomly administered on 210 households in Nigeria. Expert workshops and interviews were organized for key officials within relevant industry to elicit both technical and economic information. The relationship between waste, environment, and economic security in Nigeria was examined for years 1981 to 2017. While food waste management practices were evaluated using descriptive and inferential statistics, autoregressive distributive lag, which is also acronym ARDL, was used to determine the relationship between solid food waste, environment, and security. So let me quickly go to some of the results we have.
One more minute, so please make it quick.
Okay, so some of the identified challenges were health risks, limited resources and funding, lack of technical skills, inadequate management skill. So we discovered that from the analysis, the ARDF statistics confirmed the long relationship between measured variables related to solid food waste, generation, environment, and economic security. It also confirmed that the inverted correlation between economic growth and environmental degradation of the EKC hypothesis. And this support enjoyed the statistical significance at 5%. In conclusion, undertaking established waste management significantly limit the impact of health, environment, and socio-economic well-being. The research shows that improved funding and dissemination of public information on food packaging, as well as waste reduction, reuse, and recycling, enhance social acceptability of waste management practices. This research also shows that solid food waste has significant impact on environment and economic security. Thank you for your understanding, for your attention.
Thank you very much. Do we have a short question on this presentation? Okay, that doesn't seem to be the case. Then I'd say we move on to the next presentation. So this would be Jessica, and unfortunately I've been informed that also your file doesn't play. So would you like to just have a little oral presentation as well?
Yeah, maybe I will try to play the video on my screen and then share it, because I already, I can read the video on my computer. So
okay, great. So just, yeah, you know how to do it? Ah, very good. Yes, we can see it.
good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica. We are glad to present you our work on food security among vanilla farmers in Madagascar, the work of vanilla boom and livestock. This research was carried out within the Diversity Curve project for the sustainable land use innovations using the example of vanilla farming in northeastern Savo region of Madagascar. This region is the largest producing vanilla in the world, and the general socio-economic situation of the local population there has improved thanks to the vanilla boom. However, malnutrition is still common in the area. On the other hand, although animal husbandry is limited in the area, might have the potential to enhance food security. In this study, we assessed the food security and diets of the vanilla farming household in the Savo region. For this, we randomly selected 140 households from samples covered by the baseline survey of the project. We conducted a longitudinal food survey, and data were collected daily with locally designed pictograms that were filled by participants. Data were later completed with socioeconomic and field data from the baseline survey. We also collected diverse food security indicators and nutrient index. The influence of factors of food security and the contribution of protein from animal source food in the diet. Here, result shows that the majority of the household did not meet the minimum recommended daily calories recommended by WHO. On the other hand, the majority of the household showed a relatively balanced diet and an acceptable food consumption score according to the calculated indicators. However, the consumption of rice, which is the Malagasy staple food, was stable across the year, which means that there is no proper linkages on staple food. This shows that those households have higher purchasing power compared to the Malagasy, the general Malagasy household. Also, because people in this area is producing more rice. On the other hand, the average intakes of calorie, fat, and vitamins were insufficient, but protein was sufficient. This means that those households have better diet compared to the average Malagasy household. On the other side, smaller households that produce more rice are found to be more productive. Households that earn more from cash crops and have diverse sources of income are consuming more animal source food, which means a better diet quality. From this study, we could say that diversification of income through subsistence crop farming or livestock production can enhance diet diversity and food security in this area. Here, we recommend a regional program that raise awareness and improve nutritional education for women and children, and at the same time promote farming practices on high quality local food. With this, I finish my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Would anyone like to comment or ask a question on this topic? Okay, yeah, one question.
Sorry, I have a question for your conclusion. To diversify incomes by focusing on subsistence, how does it go together? Subsistence also means in this sense that excess food will be sold, or how does it diversify incomes?
In this analysis, the household with more diversified income were found to be more food secure. Diversified income means not only they are producing vanilla, but also maybe they have off-farm activities. They are investing also on livestock, so they are more maybe other cash crop than vanilla. But at the same time, because the rice is the staple food in Madagascar, and we are really dependent. And at the same time, if the household is producing also rice, so it means that they are more safe than the other household. So at the same time, having diversified income, because the problem of vanilla is that the income comes only at one time. And the problem there is the education, and it's a boom cash. So they're expending a lot of money one time, and then, so for the other household who can have small income throughout the year, they are more food secure, even though they earn less income than the others.
Okay, there's another question in the chat. Did you consider local level food improvement methods that may lead to a higher nutrition intake?
Yes, this is a part of our recommendation in the paper, actually, that there are many, because the area is really, the soil is fertile, the climatic condition is really good, so combined, the area have a great potential for agricultural diversity. So there are many local foods, but people need to be educated. For us, when we just eat rice and meat, and that's enough. But there are many local vegetables, and people need to be educated. I think this is the main message in our recommendation in this paper.
Okay, thank you very much. So unfortunately, the last two presenters are not here, and one of the files is also not working anyways. So if there's any other question, we still have like 2 more minutes left as we don't have the other two presentations. Anything you would like to discuss? Okay, then I can, yeah, thank you very much for all your great presentations. Also, if you have anything else you'd like to discuss, there's also always the chat. Yeah, we're very sorry for the inconvenience because we could not play all of the files. But yeah, thank you very much for being so spontaneous and still doing it orally and whatever. And maybe I'll see you tonight in the second part of this poster session. So have a great day and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.